talks with administrative officials as residents have been called upon to evacuate the premises for now. Elections counting for a presidential seat are underway in Zambia as luck seems to be tilting in favor of the incumbent president. Meantime, has his economic reforms made an impact thus far? Thanks to 3 successful saves from Bihina Mikaeli, goalkeeper to the indomitable Lionesses of the Cameroon squad, all is set for the finals of the Women Africa Cup of Nations as Cameroon overpowered Morocco 3-1 on penalties. Televiewers, welcome to the newscast on Royal Television. You are watching News Hour, a presentation of Honorin Cheng straight away from Boya, southwest region of the country. Like we told you earlier in our headlines, the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, is in Limbe this day to visit victims of the recent flood and the landslide incident, especially the lone victim who survived in a family of 3. He is also expected as a minister in Limbe following the incident which claimed the life of a young woman and left one person who is the lone survivor of the landslide that occurred in the Bende neighborhood. Minister Paul Atanganji is expected to visit the site where the landslide occurred, and he will, in the days ahead, hold talks with administrative officials of the region regarding preventive measures to avoid such tragic incidents from happening. As at now, some areas have since been identified and marked as high-risk zones. Residents have also been called upon to avoid building in such locations, especially as the region continues to experience heavy rainfalls. We are still in Limbe, and we are talking about the 12th of August. That was yesterday, where culture, tradition, and healthcare had to meet on the same table. The Southwest, through the delegation of social affairs, marked the 2026 International Day of the Indigenous and the Tribal Population by honoring the woman. And the heart of many communities, these indigenous women, as we are told, have a role in safeguarding the lives of many, as you get to tell us in this report, Frida Lee Navuma.
The drums echoed, the colors told stories, and the voices that are often unheard took center stage. In Limbe, the Southwest region joined the rest of the world to commemorate the 2026 International Day of Indigenous and Tribal Population. This year's theme, honoring indigenous midwives, safeguarding lives and well-being. The event was presided over by the governor of the Southwest region, represented by Research Officer No. 1 at the Southwest Governor's Office, Mokete Elizabeth.
We are celebrating the indigenous people. We are advocating for their rights. We have come here to support them, and the government is doing everything possible to ensure their rights are respected. So we are here to encourage this our indigenous population, tribal, so that whatever they are in need of, the government is ready for them. What goes out here today is that they are not marginalized. Though they are considered a minority group, but we consider them as part of the population of Cameroon.
The hall brought together the Mbororo community of the Southwest under the banner of Mboskuda, the Mbororo Social and Cultural Development Association, administrative authorities, civil society, and other community members were also present. A key figure at the event was the Akdo of Fako, Dahiru Isa, who represented the traditional leadership of the Mbororo in the division. For many, the day was about more than speeches. It was about recognition. In rural and nomadic communities, indigenous midwives are often the first responders, delivering babies, caring for mothers, and preserving ancestral health practices.
I take back home message that we are one in the southwest region. Whether you belong to the Mboro community, you belong to any other community, we are one. We saw diversity, inclusion, we saw solidarity, we saw a clear demonstration of the spirit of oneness. I think that we also go back home satisfied that the several hours of work that we had close to 2 months to plan for this event did not go in vain because everything went as planned.
There were cultural displays, testimonies, and calls for stronger collaboration between government, health services, and traditional practitioners. Speakers stressed that protecting indigenous knowledge is not about looking back, it is about building a healthy future. For the Mbororo women present, it was a rare moment of visibility, a moment to be seen, heard, and valued not just as community members but as guardians of life. As the event closed, the participants took back one message home: honoring indigenous midwives is honoring resilience, honoring culture, and honoring life itself. The United Nations established the International Day of Indigenous Population in 1994 to raise awareness of the rights and contributions of indigenous communities worldwide. This year's focus on midwives highlights their critical role in maternal and child health.
In Limbe, where floodwaters and landslides have left families in distress and grieving plus hopeless, hope has finally arrived in the form of prayers, provisions, and the presence as Apostle Samuel E. Molombe of Christ Light Assembly Cameroon was on the way to visit the vicinities that were affected. He also used the opportunity to move to the Limbe Regional Hospital to tell the victims there that they shouldn't be afraid because they have not been forgotten, as you get to tell us up next, Fridalina.
It was a day heavy with pain, but also filled with compassion in Limbe. The General Overseer of Christ Light Assemblies Cameroon, Apostle Samuel E. Molombe, together with members of his ministry, made their way to Lower Mbonjo, Lower Motowo, Clark's Quarters, Mbende, and Southeast communities, still bearing the scars of the recent landslides and floods. Homes are gone, livelihoods washed away, but in the middle of the rubble, faith gathered. The apostle led a gospel session right there among the victims. Songs of praise rose above the grief. Prayers were said for the lost, for the injured, and for families trying to rebuild.
I want to tell you that Lower Montoro is very delighted to receive this humanitarian gesture, a relief which is, in fact, not from anybody, but from somebody who has the heart of the people. The people have taken with all the love, with all the happiness of this wonderful gesture.
How happy we are to receive the gifts, and to show how happy to receive the gifts that are still coming. As you can see, the population are very, very happy this night. And it's what this prophet has done is something that we have never seen here. So we give him all our strength, that God would enrich him for whatever thing he's doing. We thank you people very much.
Beyond the word, there was action. The apostles' team distributed relief items to affected families, both food and non-food items and other essentials meant to help them get through the next days and weeks. From the affected communities, the delegation moves to the Limbe Regional Hospital. There, Apostle Molombe visited patients nursing injuries from the disaster.
I think a lot of people don't know the extent because they just see it on social media. I think the images does not really tell the complete story. People need to come walk the streets, see what happened, see it for themselves. We just have a picture, from. I mean, we had just a picture from social media. Or you are thinking, oh, this might, have been the destruction. But you need to walk through those places to see. I mean, it is more serious, and we're trusting and hoping that the government is going to step in to do much more to ensure that things like this don't happen again. I mean, the loss of properties, the loss of lives, it can all be avoided.
Community leaders who welcomed the apostle described the visit as timely, a spiritual and moral boost as cleanup continues and families try to pick up the pieces. Meanwhile, authorities say damage assessment is still ongoing across Limbe. Humanitarian groups and other well-wishers are also mobilizing to bring more relief to those affected. For the people of Lower Mbonjo, Lower Motowo, Clark's Quarters, Mbende and Southeast, and those in hospital beds, in their darkest hour, they were seen, they were heard, and they were remembered.
We are still in Limbe to say that football, heavy rain, and a 3-3 draw may have been one of the lighter moments of this year's World Elephant Day celebrations, which took place in Dubuncha, that's in Limbe. But behind the activities lies one serious question. How can communities learn to live alongside these elephants and cohabit in the same ecosystem without driving them away and also making a livelihood for themselves? Details of this and more, staff lady from Royal TV paid a visit to Dubuncha and tells us how far. Nanga Sonia.
The celebration began on August 11 in Dibuncha with a football match between Minfof and the community-based Rapid Response Team. Despite the heavy rains, both sides battled to a 3-3 draw. A day later, the focus shifted to Njonje in Dibuncha, where the park conservator, WWF representatives, community members and other conservation advocates gathered to mark World Elephant Day 2026. Under the theme, Be More Like Elephants, the event was not just about celebrating elephants, but about finding ways for people and wildlife to live together. As encounters between elephants and communities continue along the West Coast, the regional chief of the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife speaks on protecting both wildlife and the livelihoods of local residents.
Today we are in Jimbucha, very near for the Mount Cameroon National Park, where we have a very good population of elephant. And the place that we choose is because all this time we have many grievances for the population about farm destruction, and we think that if we had event here, we can profit to sensitize the population. But what we see today is that the population is very involved and participate really in the protection of the population of elephant around the area.
And the concern is not far away. Recent outings of elephants around Bakingili and neighboring communities have once again brought human-elephant conflict into focus. For farmers, an elephant entering a farm can mean damaged crops and lost income. For one community member whose livelihood has been affected, the issue goes beyond conservation. It is about the daily reality of trying to make a living alongside elephants.
We should learn how to live with the elephant. We have learned that we don't have to kill elephants, we need to protect them, we need to learn how to live with them. So whenever we see them, we have to go far behind, not to go closer them.
But conservationists say the answer cannot be to kill the animals. Instead, the challenge is to turn conflict into coexistence and perhaps even opportunity. Teto Elvis, head of the Collaborative Management Unit at the Mount Cameroon National Park, believes stronger collaboration with communities is essential to finding lasting solutions.
The past 5 years, they have been complaining. We have been facing a lot of challenges as far as these elephants are involved with this community. And there was no other place than the West Coast cluster, and to be precise, Njonji, Dibuncha, that we had to bring this celebration here. We want to pass on the message that elephants have this ability of wisdom, empathy, and this is a message we want to pass to the community, that they should have this ability of sympathizing with each other, having wisdom, because elephants, elephants are a very social being. They're a very social being, and if we can incorporate this habit of being social, and then we can enjoy these elephants more than the way we have been looking at them as being negative.
For WWF, changing perceptions and ensuring communities are part of conservation efforts will be critical to building a future where people and elephants can coexist.
And that as a community, as partners, and particularly as conservation partners, we observe this day. We have seen how activities have taken place, and the community have been struggling with the elephant incursion, notably in Njonji and Bakingili, where we have been working hand to hand with the rapid response team alongside the Mount Cameroon National Park and, of course, the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife, to see how we can mitigate this human-wildlife conflict, notably human-elephant conflict, and particularly see how we can involve the community, because at the end of the day, they are the ones witnessing the situation firsthand, and WWF as partner to this have been looking at mitigation measures, working hand to hand with the partners, and seeing how we can come up with different solutions, both locally and as well as solutions from other parts of the world.
The celebration, organized by the Mount Cameroon National Park in partnership with WWF and the Ministry of Forestry and Wildlife, points to another possibility: ecotourism. If elephants can attract visitors, create jobs, and generate incomes for communities, then what is today a stumbling block could become a stepping stone. From Bakingili to Dibuncha, the message stands: the elephant does not have to be the enemy. With communities at the center of conservation, it could become part of a future where wildlife is protected, livelihoods are strengthened, and people and elephants coexist.
Over to Bamenda, traditional dances, colorful cultural displays, and the baskets full of farm produce is what has marked this year's annual end-of-year festivities, that is in Wum Menchum division of the Northwest region, as they all gathered in the chief's palace, men, children, and women, to give thanks to the gods for a successful planting and also an excellent harvesting season. Student journalist on internship, Kenna Dennis, puts us through.
The celebration brought together community members dressed in traditional and colorful attires, with women and children taking part in a procession carrying baskets of farm produce on their head. The harvest display, featuring crops from the community, serve as a symbol of gratitude for the agricultural season. Participants also use the occasion to celebrate their culture, strengthen community ties, and appreciate the effort of farmers. Traditional performance and dance added color to the ceremony as the people moved towards the palace ground. At the heart of the celebration was Thanksgiving. Community members expressed gratitude to the gods for what they consider a successful planting and harvest season, while seeking continual blessing and prosperity for the community. For many participants, the annual festival is not only a celebration of the harvest, but also an opportunity to serve culture, tradition, and pass them on to the younger generation. As the celebration comes to an end, the people of Womb look forward to another farming season, carrying with them hope for continual prosperity, unity, and fruitful harvest.
We leave Bamenda and we are now in Betwa, where the Ministry of Youth and Civic Education, MINJEC, has trained some 40 young Cameroonians to become or serve as community peer educators. According to the ministry, the initiative seeks to equip these youths with civic and patriotic values while also preparing them to address social issues such as violence against women and children. Natalie Njuma with the details up next.
The hall of the Betwa Multifunctional Youth Promotion Center hosted a training session aimed at empowering young persons to become civic community educators in Betwa, East Region of Cameroon. For more than a week, about 40 youths drawn from diverse backgrounds were drilled on a range of subjects designed to strengthen their capacity to serve their communities. The training covered volunteering, first aid, civic orientation, social inclusion, and sex education alongside military discipline. Facilitators from different departments of the Ministry of Youth and Civic Education led the session with law enforcement personnel assisting in the military discipline components. Through the program, the participants were introduced to values of discipline, responsibility, and patriotism, with emphasis on their role as agents of positive change within their communities. The newly trained community educators are expected to help prevent and respond to some of the social challenges affecting young persons and vulnerable groups. These include violence against women and children, drug and narcotic abuse, as well as femicide, which has become an increasing concern in most communities in recent years. While presiding over the closing ceremony, the second Deputy Senior Divisional Officer of the Lom and Jerem Division commended the young men and women for taking part in the initiative to help in the development of their communities. The participants were handed over certificates of completion for knowledge gotten to serve their communities. The administrative official urged the participants to deploy the knowledge and skills acquired during the training into concrete action, particularly in helping to reduce violence and other social ills in their respective communities. The training, which is the first of its kind for community educators in Betwa, was organized under the theme Civic and Patriotic Holidays Free from Femicide and Violence Against Children for Harmonious Coexistence. With their new skills and civic responsibilities, the young educators are now expected to take the message of peace, discipline, inclusion, and social responsibility beyond the training hall into their communities.
We now leave our national borders as I take you over to Zambia. Zambians are casting their ballots in high-stakes elections that is widely expected to be in favor of incumbent President Hakainde Hichilema. But behind his strong position is one pressing question. Has his economic reforms improved the lives of the ordinary citizens enough to earn him another 5-year mandate? Nanga Sonia takes us to the foreign page up next.
Polling stations have opened across Zambia as millions of voters choose their next president, members of the parliament and local government representatives. President Hakainde Hichilema is seeking a second term after coming to power in 2021, promising economic recovery and better living conditions. His government points to progress in stabilizing the economy, restructuring Zambia's debt and restoring investor confidence following the country's 2020 sovereign debt default. Economic growth is also forecast at about 4.3% this year, while inflation has fallen. But for many voters, economic figures tell only part of the story. The high cost of living remains a major concern, with households still struggling with the price of food and other basic necessities. That economic frustration could test the president's popularity at the ballot box. Hichilema faces a divided opposition, with first-time presidential candidate Brian Mundubile among his main challengers. The opposition is hoping to turn dissatisfaction with living costs and concerns about governance into votes against the incumbent. Nearly 8.8 million registered voters are expected to participate in the election. The presidential race requires a candidate to secure more than 50% of the vote to avoid a runoff. As voting continues, attention is now shifting from campaign promises to the voters themselves and whether they believe Hichilema deserves another 5 years. For Zambia, this election is ultimately a test of both political confidence and economic patience. Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram, is facing a major legal battle in California over allegations that its platforms were designed to be addictive to children and teenagers. The case involves a coalition of 29 U.S. states which accuse Meta of putting engagement ahead of the safety of young users. Prosecutors allege that Meta deliberately developed features that encourage children to spend more time on its platforms while misleading parents and the public about the potential risk. The states also accuse the company of collecting personal information from underage users. Meta strongly denies the allegations. The company says it has invested heavily in protecting young people online and is expected to challenge the legal basis of the claims, including arguments over whether social media addiction should be treated as a recognized medical condition. The stakes are enormous. 4 states involved in the case are seeking damages that Meta says could reach $1.4 trillion. Beyond the money, the lawsuit could force major changes to how Facebook and Instagram are designed and operated. Jury selection has begun in Oakland, California, with opening arguments scheduled for August 18. Meta's CEO Mark Zuckerberg could also testify during the trial, which is expected to last several weeks. The case comes as pressure mounts on technology companies over the impact of social media on young people. A recent U.S. appeal court decision has also allowed thousands of social media harm lawsuits against Meta and other major technology companies to move forward. For Meta, the trial could become a defining moment. For parents, educators, and young users, it raises a bigger question: when does keeping children connected cross the line into keeping them hooked?
Now we talk sports. To say that the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon have thrashed Morocco 3-1 in penalties, that is to qualify them for the finals of the Women Africa Cup of Nations. Thanks to 3 powerful saves from Bihina Mikaeli, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon, after a goalless scoreline, have had their tickets for the finals. Sonita Nguni up next.
Facing the host nation Morocco, the indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon witnessed Morocco dominate their side of the field during the first segment of the game, yet ending in a goalless draw. The last 45 minutes of play saw an attacking Cameroonian side, whom, blessed with so many chances, failed to capitalize on them. Cameroon's goalkeeper Bihina Mikaela stopped Morocco from rejoicing after saving a penalty for their side to keep their hopes alive. Getting into prolongation, both sides failed to create a difference as the both teams staged strong resistance. Coming into the moment of truth, Bihina Mikaeli overpowered the strikes of the Moroccan team, grabbing 3 of their shots to give Cameroon their win. Standing as a one-man army, Bihina, after showcasing great goalkeeping skills, saving 4 penalties in the single game, won her second Woman of the Match award in a row.
I'm really full of emotion because for our generation it's the first time to play final of the AFCON. So we are very happy. We thank all people who support us. We continue to enjoy every moment, every game. About penalty, I started studying the penalty of Morocco during all the competition. And I said inside my mind, like, if we go to the penalties, I have to catch minimum 3 penalties. And when I came to the responsibility during the games, I said, okay, let me go to penalty session. I think I can do more. It will be a good game. We try to do our best like every game, it will be a good game.
This victory secures Cameroon's fourth final appearances in the history of the Women African Cup of Nations, playing the finals in 2004, 2014, 2016, and now in 2026. The indomitable Lionesses of Cameroon will face WAFCON debutants Malawi, who defeated Algeria 3-1 to secure their first ever final spot on August 16, while Morocco and Algeria will battle for the bronze medal.
Still in sports, Paris Saint-Germain have started the new European season with another major trophy after defeating Aston Villa 2-1, that is in Salzburg over there in Austria. But the win for PSG was not what stole the night. However, Somalian referee Umar Atan made history to be the very first referee out of Europe to take charge of the UEFA Super Cup. As you get to tell us, Claudia Mvuma Kosono.
For African football, the biggest story was taking place in the middle of the pitch. Omar Abdulkadir Atan, the 34-year-old Somali referee, was entrusted with one of European football's biggest opening fixture. His appointment was historic, making him the first referee from outside Europe to officiate the UEFA Super Cup. Atan's story makes the achievement even more significant. He had been selected to officiate the 2026 FIFA World Cup, but was denied entry into the United States and therefore missed the tournament. Just weeks later, UEFA gave him the opportunity to take charge of the Super Cup, a remarkable response to one of the biggest disappointments of his career. And he did not simply appear as a symbolic appointment. Atan handled the Paris Saint-Germain vs Aston Villa encounter on one of the biggest stages in European club football, demonstrating the growing recognition of African match officials at the highest level. Paris Saint-Germain have added another European trophy to their growing collection after overcoming Aston Villa 2-1 in a thrilling UEFA Super Cup encounter. The Champions League winners took control early, with Kivcha Kvaratskhelia opening the scoring in the 20th minute after producing an impressive individual finish. But Aston Villa, the Europa League champions, refused to surrender. The English side responded before the break through 17-year-old Brian Majo, who made history by becoming the youngest scorer in UEFA Super Cup history. PSG, however, showed why they remain one of Europe's strongest sides. Desiree Doué restored the advantage in the 61st minute, with VAR confirming the goal should stand after an initial offside decision. Villa pushed for another equalizer, creating opportunities and showing considerable character before PSG held firm to secure their second consecutive UEFA Super Cup triumph. The victory also puts PSG alongside Manchester United, FC Barcelona, Real de Madrid, AC Milan, Galatasaray, Liverpool, Ajax, Bayern Munich, Anderlecht and Porto as some clubs that have successfully retained the trophy. For PSG, it was another statement of ambition. For Aston Villa, despite the defeat, their performance showed that their Europa League success was no accident. And for Omar Atan, an African referee, Salzburg provided a historic moment, proving the excellence in officiating can cross continental boundaries. The UEFA Super Cup may belong to PSG, but for African football, Omar Atan's performance provided a story of resilience, recognition, and history.
Minister Paul Atanganji this day visits the lone survivor of the Bende landslide in a family that lost 3 persons. The Territorial Administration Board is expected to hold consultative talks with administrative officials as residents have been called upon to evacuate the premises for now. Elections counting for a presidential seat are underway in Zambia as luck seems to be tilting in favor of the incumbent president. Meantime, has his economic reforms made an impact thus far? Thanks to 3 successful saves from Bihina Mikaeli, goalkeeper to the indomitable Lionesses of the Cameroon squad, all is set for the finals of the Women Africa Cup of Nations as Cameroon overpowered Morocco 3-1 on penalties. Televiewers, it's on that note that we have come to the end of the news hour on this day. Honoring Cheng for presentation. I'm asking you to stay tuned to lovely programs on Royal Television. Tomorrow, same time, same place, I will be here at 6:30 for the primetime newscast. Good night.